We're day drinking. We're day drinking. We're day drinking. Day drinking.
Welcome to Day Drinking. This is a bit of a spin-off type episode of our normal format where we just talk about whatever we want to talk about. And this is going to be a special episode because I'm joined by no one. It's just me, your host, Travis Jennings. What am I drinking, you ask? I'm drinking the Kentucky Straight Members Mark Bourbon Whiskey. Um, Everyone bailed on me tonight, and that was just kind of rude. And so we're gonna do something that we talked about in the last day drinking episode with just me and Rick. And I'm gonna try to come up with new personalities or I'm not new personalities. I'm gonna try to use ChatGPT to come up with personalities for the other co-hosts so that when on nights where Drew or Rick can't make it, and it's just maybe two of us, instead of doing a day drinking, what we can do is we can do three topics maybe that maybe we don't normally talk about, maybe some that are a little lower on our list, and we can have the personality that I give to ChatGPT as a response for the person who's not going to be there. So what we're going to do is I've got a question here. I don't know exactly what Rick and or Drew would how they would actually answer this question, but I have an idea. I have some thoughts, and I have some personality traits that we could kind of inject into ChatGPT to kind of come up with what they might answer is kind of what we're going for. I just realized, no, I was not out of frame. I wasn't out of frame. It was Zoom's fault. I look horrible. Anyway, um, we're gonna start with a simple prompt. I I host the Bar Banter podcast. And I left Ben out. For those of you who haven't kind of noticed, Ben is absent due to work issues and scheduling conflicts. He definitely wants to be able to join these, but he just can't. And so I'll probably make a persona for him as well in case we need a tie or we need something to be settled. Um, but for the time being, it's going to be mostly myself, Drew, and Rick. At some point, Ben might be able to come back in if his schedule allows it, but TBD on all that. So I host the Bar Banter podcast with three other people. They all have unique personalities that contribute to the show in different ways. That's a little bit redundant. Occasionally, one of the hosts may miss an episode, but we want to continue with the recording as if they were there. The goal, I can't spell. Goal of this prompt will be to discover and refine the missing host's personality, but in a what's grandiose is kind of a word that comes to mind. What's the word for not satire, embellished way, but in a what's the word? And I'm typing a prompt, so this is going to help. What is the word for um like something else, but slightly more exaggerated? That's probably the word I'm looking for. Not interested. Hyperbole. Okay. It refers to a figure of speech that uses extreme or exaggerated claims not meant to be taken literally. That's close. I think I like exaggerated a little bit, but slightly exaggerated version of their normal tone. Okay. So what I've learned, first of all, is I can't spell. And I know you don't need to be perfect with these prompts, but some of my spelling on that was horrible. So we're just going to do a quick spell check. Sorry. That's the background. So what I'm going to tell it to do now is before we begin, provide a summary of your understanding of what I'm trying to do. You want to build a prompt framework that can reliably simulate. I'm already like four in. That can reliably simulate one of your missing podcast hosts during an episode of the Banter podcast. A simulated version should feel recognizable to the audience, matching the host's humor, conversational habits, opinions, pacing, energy, and a role in the group dynamic, but tuned up slightly so the personality reads clearly in an audio only format. That's close. The goal is not to just imitate facts about the person, but to recreate their conversational function in the group, the kind of jokes they make, how they react with stories, what they interrupt with, what topics. You're essentially creating a character Bible plus the behavioral prompt for each host, grounded in the real person, exaggerated enough to be entertaining and distinct, but still believable and consistent. The refinement process will probably involve defining each host archetype in the role group, identifying signature behaviors, phrases, biases, comedic instincts, capturing how they interact with specific co-hosts, establishing boundaries so the AI doesn't drift into caricature or break tone, iteratively testing the voice and sample podcast banter and refining it. The end result would likely be a reusable master prompt where you can say something like respond as host X during bar banter podcast about topic Y. And yeah, that is correct. And so what I learned in my time using AI, I'm going to use it to prompt me to prompt it. So yes, that's correct. I'm going to say ask me 5 questions to help with the refinement process. The first host we want to attempt to recreate is Rick. This is where I'm going to get a little, maybe vulnerable. Is that the right word? I don't know. Honest is probably that's the right word about what I think about each of the co-hosts. I'm obviously going to paint them in a positive light. Um, and I'm going to embellish a little bit. That's probably the other word I was looking for was embellish. Rick is very strongly opinionated. His knowledge of internet pop culture is very limited and um, is known for being, quote, 20 years behind in his pop culture, etc. Um, he has, I'll say he has logical takes on a lot of the topics, but it is, I'll say, a simple logic. He's like very usually much like this is what it boils down to. This is what it is. It's very black and white. It's very black and white with him. On occasion, you can open his eyes to new ways of thinking, such as I think the most recent one was this one, when we determined that the omelet omelet was the second best uh, egg preparation. It was it was not something he had even considered, but it made him start thinking about all of the other egg preparations that he may have uh, forgotten. other words to describe Rick is sometimes sometimes angry, sometime passionate is probably a good word. Passionate. Um, and sometimes a little aloof. I'll say this out loud, Rick. You can sometimes tell that there is a topic that he isn't as interested. No, I don't want to put that. I want to put the good stuff in because I want this to be again a bit of a hyperbole version of Rick. Good. I'll say exaggerated is the right word. Exaggerated version of Rick, but still close to him. Um, so I think that's a decent background. Um, so what I'm going to do is I took out the question. So I said, yes, that's correct. I gave the explanation. Now I'm going to say, ask me 5 questions to help me with the refinement process, which would be defining each host archetype and role in the group, identify, and also I want to say, think of Raphael from the Ninja Turtles, because that's who I think of Rick. And we did that in our little intro thing. So, cool. So now, here we go. What kinds of topic make Rick immediately come alive or argumentative? Sports, food, common sense, societal takes, old school nostalgia, anti-technology takes. Okay, so one would be sports. Uh, food. I'll say candy. Common sense, societal takes, and pet peeves. He's not really. He likes old school nostalgia a little bit and anti-technology. He's not big into anti-technology. Pet peeves. Trying to think of anything else. Those kind of called it out. Sports, candy, common sense, societal takes, pet peeves. Um, I mean, I could put old school video games in there, which he does have opinions on, but I think that's good. Two, how does Rick usually react when group disagrees with him? Does he double down? He doubles down for sure. He'll like um all right with your bad takes. Calls out other people to deflect from his answer. I'd say that's most of the time. There are definitely times where like, I don't really care. Um, what is Rick bad at conversationally in a funny way? Missing obvious jokes, no. Misunderstanding modern references, yep. Misunderstanding modern references. Using outdated comparisons, oversimplifying nuanced issues, accidentally derailing conversations. I think he's bad at conversationally in a funny way. Uh, Misunderstanding modern references when conversationally tends to is sometimes distracted. I think that's good. Does Rick have a signature phrase, verbal habits, or repeated formats? I'm just saying back in my day that's stupid, calling this ridiculous. I do have the virtual Rickisms. So we did a board game, a bingo card. What is wrong with you? Excuse me. He says, excuse me. He says, um, always has a margarita or a Long Island. And here's why. And here's why. We need to do a bingo card for Drew. He won't listen to this. South Park references, hot. South Park references and HAWT for hot. Uh, da, da, and just I hate you. Yeah, I hate you. Five. In the group dynamic, was Rick serve emotionally? Is he the instigator, the angry old man, the accidental comedian? I think he's the grounded realist a little bit. Definitely the contrarian. And yeah, that's about it. With its contrarian. And I will say he's also the dissolute instigator, angry old man, accidental comedian, grounded realist, contrarian, passionate defender of dumb opinions, the guy everyone gangs up on. I think of those, grounded realist and contrarian is probably the most accurate for those two. Let's see. The emerging version of him feels like a stubborn but oddly sincere contrarian. True, someone who believes most problems can be solved with a basic common sense. Yep. Society, socially a little behind the times, but confident enough that it doesn't slow him down. Accidentally funny because he treats low stakes debates with extreme seriousness, as we all. I like that phrase. I'm going to use that in other stuff. Low stakes debate with extreme seriousness. The kind of guy who says, "Excuse me," when someone just violated the Geneva Convention over candy ranking. Yep. A person who deflects pressure by attacking someone else's take instead of fully defending his own. He does usually defend his own, but he does like to go on the defensive. Simultaneously dismissive and persuadable if the logic is simple enough and concrete enough. True. A little sports radio caller energy. Yep. A little rap from TMNT at a neighborhood bar. Yep. Um, Here you go, Rick. The omelet realization example is especially important because it prevents him from becoming a flat caricature. It means Rick is not dumb. He's rigid until presented with a simple, undeniable reframing. He can genuinely evolve in real time during a conversation. He discovers his discoveries feel huge because his worldview is intentionally simple. I like that. Yeah. Misplaced confidence, emotional conviction, confidence over nuance. Yep. Treats preference debates like moral debates. Yep. Rick thinks modern culture overcomplicates. I mean, this is pretty close. Next, we want to define Rick's debate mechanics. What kinds of opinion he always has, how he behaves when drunker, how he treats the co-host differently, and the line between funny, exaggerated, and mean to mean. Okay, yeah. Let's define those.
Tired of weak snacks? Step up to Angry Toothpick Jerky. Too delicious and just a little dangerous. With flavors like original, classic flavor, basically jerky royalty, teriyaki, smoother than your cousin's mixtape, and try our new chili de arbol, sweet, spicy, and definitely plotting something. Find us on Etsy and get 10% off with code BANTER at checkout. Angry Toothpick Jerky. Own your hangry.
Rick's debate mechanic, how he argues. Rick doesn't debate to explore ideas, he debates to declare conclusions. I thought it was going to ask me questions. Next up, important. Now we can turn this into a usable Rick prompt card that you can drop into any episode scenario. Before I build that, I want to confirm one thing. Do you want Rick to be strictly consistent, same Rick every time, predictable behavior, or slightly chaotic but recognizable, more improvisational, occasionally surpassing reactions, but still quote Rick? I think it's got to be somewhere in between that. Like I want this bot to be Rick, but like a little bit of chaos. So I'll say somewhere in between. Rick occasionally has that bit of chaos in him, which is true. So I would say it's probably like I'm looking for something that is about 90% consistent. I'll say 95. Yeah, 90% consistent and 10% slightly chaotic. All right, Rick podcast simulation prompt version 1, core identity. All right, so it's got a huge prompt here. I will, if you want to make this truly production ready, the next upgrade is building Rick's co-host reaction map. I don't need that part. I'm mainly using this as a filler for what his take on a question might be, not actually interacting with other co-hosts in real time. That would be crazy, but yes, what would Rick think about X is what we're going for. We can strip away any interaction logic entirely and focus on standalone response engine. Okay. Output structure, what does it say at the end? What's Rick's take on next upgrade? Most valuable will be a Rick intensity dial, so you can control how unhinged or grounded his take should be per episode. Yes, please add that to my prompt. And um, what would be the best? I'll just say that. We'll just start with that. It says final version 3. You didn't. I did not. So they're consistent. A Rick Takes library, pre-built answers for recurring podcast. There are no recurring podcast topics. A format that outputs full episode arguments segments automatically. So I think what I'm going to do is grab this. Wow, this is an intense prompt. Yep. So I'm going to grab this and I'm going to say, okay, to test this prompt of Rick's personality, I want it to answer the following question. I'll say, well, let me ask this. How, or I guess, what would be the best way to call this opinion engine? Call Rick's opinion engine for a specific podcast topic. How would I interact with you to get the best result? It says the best result will come by treating Rick like a controlled function call, not a conversational character. You want to give him X structure to lock in tone, topic, and intensity with that. Here's the cleanest way to do it. Best way to prompt Rick. Standard call template. Use this structure. Rick, intensity X, topic, the prompt context, what's being called, and the example. Yep. No, I like that, but are you going to remember? Are you going to remember what did I call Rick's opinion engine? Opinion engine. If you come back later, you'll need to paste it again or ask me to reconstruct it. Yeah, that's what I need. Okay. So that's what compress everything we built into a clean copy paste master prompt card that you can reuse instantly for production. Bam. Yep. Input format. Rick's intensity, topic, context. Okay. Default. So this is funny. The default intensity for Rick is 6, according to ChatGPT. I love that. Normal Rick is 6. I think that's probably right because there's definitely times where he's mellow, and then there are times where he's a 10. So he's either like a 2 or a 10. So I think defaulting to a 6 is probably right. All right, so I'm gonna grab turn this multi-host system. I do want that. I don't want a one-line command generator. I'm happy to post this every time because I can save it. So what we're going to do now, we're going to grab this. I'm going to save this to a new tab in my little tracker sheet because that's what I do. I hope you guys like this a little bit. Some of the behind-the-scenes stuff. I don't know. Yep. Okay. Cool. Where am I? Yep. Rename Rick's opinion engine. Okay. Now I'm going to grab this. All right, so this, and I'm going to start a new prompt. New prompt. Got it. What's the new prompt? So I'm going to give it Rick's decision engine for Rick. Intensity, we'll say 6. I'll say 7. Let's turn it up a little bit. The topic is one of the ones I've been asking them to potentially do for a while is most overrated food. Most overrated food. I would assume he would pick something a little simple. Not simple. That's not the right word. Something fad oriented, right? He would look at a current fad and be like, that's absolutely overrated. I know also spicy. He doesn't like spicy, so that's probably one of it is. There's no real context. It's just most overrated food. But I'll just try saying, which food gets more hype than it actually deserves and just tastes okay, not uh amazing. Desired angle, optional. Skeptical, defending, ranking, hot take. I think Rick would probably go in this instance, would probably pick like I said, spicy food or a trendy food. Output length, I'll say medium because I'll have opinions on it. And then I posted the rest of it and go. He's gonna say, but didn't specify new instruction or request yet. Test trick. I did that. Always invoke Rick like that. I guess is yeah. Excuse me. Okay, so this is what ChatGPT thinks Rick's answer would be based on my everything. And I think his answer is probably good here. Excuse me, this isn't even a hard question. And here's why. The most overrated food is anything you need to hype to convince you that it's good. If it was actually good, people wouldn't have to talk you into it. I'm going to say sushi burritos or whatever the whole trendy phase was. It's not innovation. That's confusion wrapped in seaweed. You don't improve sushi by turning it into something you eat like a gym protein wrap. It's just common sense. If I need 6 Instagram videos and a backstory to understand how to eat it, it's already failed. And don't even get me started on avocado everything. Avocado's fine. Don't make it your personality. It's not a lifestyle. It's mashed green butter that people started acting like a scientific breakthrough. Not, that's probably pretty damn close. I love that. Okay, so last thing I want to do. Okay. Last thing, I'll say, okay, that was perfect. To give it feedback. Last thing, give me a master copy and paste prompt with the short template to fill out to get Rick's take on a topic. Paste once at top if needed. Final master. Yep. Okay, cool. I think we did it. I think that's probably pretty. I think we did it. I think we did it. I don't want. It says copy input template. Hold on, real quick before we log off. Hold on. Do I need to copy and paste all of the context before the input template? No, not in this conversation, right? Right. Okay. So yeah, I want the full thing. Copy and paste. I think it's. I'm gonna grab this new one. Let me start. Can I start a new conversation? It's fine. All right. Anyway, well, that was an episode. I think that was incredibly useful. I like this because again, the next time Rick is out and it's just me and Drew, we can have Rick's take on individual topics and we can maybe cover some of the topics that we don't normally talk about. And I'm really excited for that. So we don't always do the day drinking episodes. I like the day drinking episodes, but sometimes they get a little redundant. So with that, the outro. New episodes every Wednesday. Like and subscribe. Find us on the socials at _bar banter. There's a link in the description for Angry Toothpick Jerky. Go to Etsy, type in Angry Toothpick Jerky, put jerky in your cart, type in Banter at checkout for 10% off your entire order. There's also a link in the description to support the podcast directly. And because I'm by myself, I'm going to say you can actually support we can actually use those funds to help me find some new goddamn co-hosts because these guys suck. I love you. And just remember, this is my podcast and you're just not here or along for the ride. Okay, bye.